Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 7 of my Android development tutorial. Today we're going to continue making my XML parsing multiple activity stock quote picker. And if you missed the previous part of this tutorial, part 6, there's a link to it in the upper left hand corner. And if you want to see all the tutorials in this Android development tutorial playlist, then look at the link in the upper right hand corner. Now I'm mainly going to create everything that's needed in the main activity.java file in this tutorial, and then in the next tutorial I'll finish up everything else that's left after that. So let's get into it. Okay, so the last time I left you off, we had this guy was what we were planning on creating, and in this part of the tutorial I'm pretty much going to create everything here, because last time I just left you with an interface that pretty much doesn't do anything. So as I look at this tool here that we have, what exactly am I going to have to do? Well, I'm not going to have to do anything with this text view area over here where it says enter symbol, so I'm not going to have to create that. However, I'm going to be getting input from this editable text area, and I'm going to have to get information from this button as well as these other two buttons. And then this whole entire thing is a scroll view. So like for example, if I type in Microsoft in here and then come back up here and hit enter, it's going to pop in right here. So I'm going to have to figure out how to populate this scroll view so all that information works. And then on top of that, I'm going to have to set it up so that if they click on the web button right here, it's going to automatically send an intent to open up the web browser and get me more information on Microsoft, just like it did right there. So knowing all of those different things, I know that I need to create the edit text, stock symbol, edit text, editable text area, and be able to catch any type of click events or any events in general that it would issue. I'm also going to have to create click listeners for enter, stock, symbol, button as well. And also we have another button, which is delete all symbols, which is down here, which if I click on that, it's going to delete everything. And that's called delete stock, stocks button. On top of that, if I want this information that I store inside of here to remain there whenever the application closes and then reopens, I need to set up shared preferences, and what that's going to do is save key value pairs for me. I'm also going to have to update my scroll view, and that's going to be with any new stocks, and also save those new stocks inside of shared preferences. And I'm also going to have to display a web page dynamically that's going to use the stock that they enter. And then on top of that, let's say they come in here and they just hit enter and they don't enter a symbol. See, this little dialog box pops up here with an error message. I'm also going to have to set up that dialog box. So that's just a sampling of all the different things I need to create in this, and I'm just going to close this out and let's get into the code. Okay, so here we are inside of main activity.java, and that is where we're going to create all the programming for our main activity where everything's going to start. And that of course is in the source folder right here. And all the code is available in the link underneath the video. Actually, all the code from the whole entire tutorial is available there. So what am I going to need to do? Well, let's just go through here, and I'm going to throw in a whole bunch of things that I either do need or may need. Either way, it's very important to think about all these different things whenever you're writing a program. Now, one thing I might want to do is to store a unique message using my package name to avoid any conflicts that is going to represent the stock symbols that I am going to be working with. Or in this situation, the current stock symbol that I am working with, because that would be very useful to be able to pass over whenever I want the web page to open or whenever I want to parse XML. So if you want to do that, we're just going to go com example, and then in this situation I'm going to call this stock quote stock, right like that. And this information will be available to any of the other activities if I should need to use it. Now I also said that I want to use shared preferences so that I will be able to store key value pairs so that whenever the application is closed, I'll be able to reopen all of these stocks that were previously entered, because that's very useful. To do that, we're just going to go shared preferences, and I'm going to call this stock symbols entered. And of course it gives me a little error message, and I just have to zoom in here and go import shared preferences. Now on top of that, I'm also going to be using a table row inside of my scroll view that is going to hold all my stock symbols and buttons, or a table layout. So I'm also going to define that because I'm going to need it to be able to update my scroll view and go bounce out and import that as well. And then we have our editable text areas, edit text, and if we bounce over here into layout activity main and double click on that, and then scroll down inside of this thing, you're going to see an editable text area, and it is called stock symbol edit text. So I'm just going to copy that because I like to use the same exact name so that I don't get confused, because I'm easily confused sometimes. And then import the edit text library we need. I'm also going to want to do the same thing with buttons. And like I said before, I'm going to need to create a button inside of here that's going to handle whenever a new stock is either entered or whenever we want to delete all of them. Again, if we pop over inside of here, or we can go into the graphical layout, click on enter, and then if I come over into this guy, enter stock symbol blah 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 button, I can just copy that and then bounce back over into activity main and paste that in there. And there we go, I got the same name again. And I'm also going to come in here and do the same thing for delete stocks button and make sure we spell that right. Okay, so I have all those set up, and that's pretty much all I need to set up at this point in time. So I'm now going to go into OnCreate and initialize everything so that everything works whenever we start our application, because this is going to be where all the magic starts. Now, the very first thing I'm going to want to do is retrieve any save stocks that have been entered by the user. And to do that, I'm going to go stock symbols entered is equal to, and that guy comes from this, stock symbols entered right there. And then to get them, I just need to go get shared preferences. And what am I going to get? I'm going to get the stock list. So I'm going to go stock list. And then after that, there's a couple different things you can put here. You can put mode private. And what that means is that this data is only going to ever be accessible by your application. And this is the most common thing anybody ever does. And the other two options that are available would be mode world readable, which would mean that it would be readable pretty much by anything. And the other option is mode world writable. And on top of that, you could actually declare that it's both readable and writable by putting this little pipe symbol inside of there. And that's just in case you want to do that. But mode private is definitely the most common thing to use here in this situation. Then what I want to do is initialize all the different components that I have. So I'm going to have stock table scroll view, I'm going to have stock symbol edit text, and all these different guys. So I'm just going to copy those so I don't make any typos. Come back down inside here and paste those in there. And then just get rid of all this extraneous information. And then to set up this table layout, I need to go table layout. And then I'm going to go find view by ID. Then we're going to go R, which is a reference to this R Java file that's over here inside the gen folder. This is where all of the different IDs for every single component is going to be stored, and never mess with that. And then I just go ID dot, and then all the information actually pops up inside of here. So I'm looking for stock table scroll view, and there it is. And there we are. Now that's been initialized. Now to save some time, I'm just going to copy this and paste that in here for all these different pieces. Okay, so the next thing we got to set up is the stock symbol edit text area, and I'm just going to call it edit text, and then come down inside of here, and it's going to be stock symbol edit text, of course, because that's the name I had before, and there it is. And then we have our button set up, so I'm just going to go button, and I'm going to do button here as well, and then get rid of this. Put in a period, and guess what it's called? It's called enter stock symbol button. So just come over here and go enter stock symbol button, and there it is. Then we're going to do the same thing here, except here we're going to go delete stocks button. Come over here, delete stocks button. See, there it is. So you don't have to think that much whenever you write down all the different names for all your different components. That's what I have sitting in front of me normally whenever I'm doing this. So what else did I say I need to do after I initialize all these different things? Well, I'm going to have to come in here and set up click listeners for these two buttons. So that's pretty easy. So we're just going to go get enter stock symbol button. And to add the click listener, I'm just going to go set on click listener. And then I'm going to go enter stock button listener, just like that. And of course it gives me an error because that hasn't been created yet. And then I'm pretty much going to do the same thing here for my next button, except this is going to be delete stocks button. And then here I'm going to go the same exact thing. I'm going to go delete stocks button listener and save that. And then after this, I'm going to update all my saved stock lists for my scroll view. And this is another method that I'm going to have to create here in a second. It's going to be update saved stock list. And I'm just going to pass it a value of null because this is going to update the scroll view area if null is passed in, and otherwise it is going to add a new stock to the scroll view if null isn't entered, and instead we have a string go inside of that. And actually I'm just going to create it right now so you see exactly what I mean. So let's say I go private void update saved stock list, and like I said, it's going to receive a string, which is going to be a new stock symbol that we want to add to our scroll view. Then the very first thing I'm going to want to do is have a string array inside of here that's going to hold all my different stocks. And what it's going to do is get all my saved stocks that were saved from before, if they exist. And to do that, I'm just going to go stock symbols entered. and I'm going to go get all key set, and then I'm going to convert them into an array, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a series of strings that have been entered into this guy. And of course, make sure I spell this right. So stock symbols entered. And of course, stock symbols entered comes from this guy right here. Stock symbols entered. See, it's coming from the shared preferences, which have the key value pairs inside of them. Okay, so now that I got that set up, I'm going to sort all of my stocks in alphabetical order so that I will be able to display them and they will be easily searchable if we have a bazillion stocks on this. So I'm just going to go stocks, string, and then you just go case in sensitive order, which is just going to ignore the case of the characters whenever the sorting process goes on. And then what I need to do is make sure that null wasn't entered like it was right here. See, this guy. So I'm going to have to handle that situation. So if new stock symbol is not equal to null, well, that means a new stock symbol has been entered that I need to put into my scroll view. So if I want to do that, I'm just going to go insert stock in scroll view and go new stock symbol, and I can go arrays, binary, search, stocks, and what this is going to do is put them in order inside of the array, and then I'm going to go new stock symbol. Don't try to memorize all this stuff, just there's a lot of copy and pasting you can do. And in a second I'm going to create this method right here, insert stock in scroll view. So let's move this up a little bit. Now else, in that situation, that means they entered null, and in that situation I just want to output all of the saved stocks. So I'm just going to go I less than stocks length, and then just increment that. And then in that situation, I'm going to go insert stock in scroll view again, because we want all those stocks to be displayed. And here we can just display them one by one, and also say what index they're going to go into, because this guy up here is handling putting them in alphabetical order up there. And there we go. Now I'm going to have to create insert stock in scroll view here in a second. But the first thing I'm going to want to do is to provide a way to save my stock symbols. So I'm going to create a method here called private void save stock symbol, and it's going to receive a string, which is going to be a new stock. And the very first thing I want to do is check if this stock is indeed new. So I'm going to go stock symbols to make sure that we don't enter the same stock symbol multiple times. And I'm just going to go get string new stock null. And then I'm going to come in and go shared preferences and call editor. And what editor is going to do is it's going to be used to store my keyed valued pairs. Now in this situation, the key and the value are both going to be a stock symbol. But of course we could go in here and put the stock's name, the corporation's name, or whatever you'd want. But either way, just to keep everything simple, I'm just going to keep it this way right now. And I'm just going to go preferences editor is equal to, and I'm going to go stock symbols entered and edit. Now that we have that set up, I can go preferences editor, put string new stock, and this is going to be new stock as well, because remember I said the key and the value are going to be exactly the same, which really isn't that uncommon. And then I'm going to go preferences editor apply, which is going to store the key value pairs inside of there. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do is, if this is a new stock, I want to make sure that I add all of my components for it. So I'm going to go if, I'm going to go is stock new, this guy right here. I'm going to go null. And then in this situation, I'm going to go update saved stock list and pass in new stock to that. And of course, update saved stock list is this guy right here. And that is just going to pass that stock in there just like we did before. Now the next thing I need to do is create insert stock in my scroll view. So I'm just going to come back down here and I'm going to go private void and then paste that in there. And this guy is going to receive a string, which is the stock, and it's also going to receive an array index for where in the array it should be stored. And then I'm going to have to get the layout inflator to inflate my layout. It's equal to, and to do that I'm going to go get system service context. I'm going to go layout inflator service, and then come down inside of here and go import. And then you're going to do the same thing for layout inflator. And make sure that that's set for layout inflator and that's set for layout inflator. And then come down here and go import. And there we go. And now what the layout inflator is going to allow me to do is actually to set or create a stock row from this guy over here, layout stock quote row. Remember these guys? Well, if we click on graphical layout, remember this is going to have the stock symbol. There's that stock symbol, and here's the quote in their web. dynamically what the inflator is going to allow me to do is to set this guy right here inside of my scroll view. And of course, the scroll view is going to be this guy. Remember, there were a whole bunch of different stocks listed here? That's a scroll view. So it's going to take this row and dynamically insert them inside of there every single time a new stock's entered. And to do that, we're going to have to go View, New, Stock Row, Inflator, Inflate. Then I'm going to go R, Layout, Stock, Quote, Row, which stock, quote, row, that's this guy up here, comma, and then I'm just going to throw null inside there. Don't worry about that. And then, of course, come in here and get all these libraries as well. And now that we have all that set up, what I'm going to do is create the text view for my scroll view row. And this is all done pretty much dynamically. So I'm going to go text view, new, stock, text view is equal to, and now, of course, we're going to cast this to text view, and then go new stock, row, dot, find, view by ID, just like before. I'm going to go r.id, dot, and then this is going to be stock symbol text view. So just come in here and go stock symbol text view. There it is. Okay, then put a semicolon at the end, and you're done with that. Now what I want to do is actually add the stock symbol to my new stock symbol text view area. And of course, that's just set text. We've used that a couple times before, and I'm just going to put stock in there, and there that is. That text view is set. We don't need to do anything else with it. Then I'm going to need to initialize my buttons. So I got stock, and if you look at these guys here, this is what I'm working with. Stock quote button, this guy right here. Well, I'm just going to come over here and go stock quote button. See, using the same exact names again. Pop back over into this. No use in typing those out. And actually, I'm going to pop back over here again and go quote from web button, come down here and copy that as well. And then bounce back over because we're going to have to initialize both those buttons. And there we go. And I'm just going to copy this, save myself some time. Paste that in there. Paste that in there, except of course these are going to be buttons. Most everything else is going to be about the same. Here we're going to go stock quote button, just copy that there because it has the same name as it has over in the actual interface we created. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing here for the quote from web button. It's a nice thing again, keep the names the same. At least it works for me. Some people hate doing that. And then if I also want to set up click listeners for these guys, just going to go stock quote button, just like we did before, set on click listener. And here I got to create this in a little bit. Get stock activity listener, which we have to create that. And pretty much the same thing for the quote from web button. Paste that there. Paste that there. And then this is just going to be changed to get stock from website listener, which I'm also going to have to create here in a second. And then after I have all of those guys set up, I'm going to come up here to the view that I'm creating, new stock row. And then after I have all of that set up, I want to go to my scroll view, which is way up here. There we go. Stock table scroll view. And then come way down here and add this new view to it. And to do that, I just go add view, and it's going to be new stock row and array index, which is just going to be the order it's going to be inside of my scroll view. So pretty neat. So then I'm just going to look at all these little red marks over here and figure out what I missed. So let's just scroll up, and I'm going to create all these other different methods. Enter stock button listener. Okay, seems like a good enough place to start. So I'm just going to copy that, come down here, and I'm going to handle that by going public on click listener, enter stock button listener, and then go new on click listener, and just do this inline. And of course you have to get libraries, and then of course come down at the end, put a semicolon, and then it's going to give you a little error message. You need to add unimplemented methods. No problem, does that for you. Then you just need to define what you want to do whenever somebody clicks on that button, which is also going to be pretty easy. First thing I want to do is to check if there's a stock symbol that has been entered into my edit text field. And to do that, you're just going to go if stock symbol edit text, and then go get text if you want to get the text out of it. And then you can also check the length of that text to see if it's greater than 0, which means that there's some information stored in there, which means there's a stock symbol inside of it. And in that situation, what I want to do is save the new stock and add its components. So just go save stock symbol, which we created earlier here. Screw it up, see, save stock symbol, this guy. We just have to put our new stock symbol inside of there to get this guy to work. And then all we need to do is go into this guy. There's no point in typing it out again. That's the edit text field. And if I want to get the value that's inside of there, I'm just going to go get text, of course. And then I'm going to convert it into a string. And there, that's going to enter it inside of there. And then if I want to clear my edit text box after I do that, No problem. I'm just going to come in here, paste, set my text to nothing. So I'm covering a whole bunch of different ways of doing things inside this tutorial. Then on top of that, let's say that I want to force the keyboard to close so that we can see the whole entire scroll view that is completely filled with stocks. Well, if you want to do that, just go input method manager, IMM is equal to, and definitely don't memorize this, input method manager, and then get system service, and then inside of that put context, input method service, I believe, right? Yeah. Yes, indeed. Right? Yes. Okay. And then of course get some libraries. And that's going to force close the keyboard for you. And then to actually force this keyboard to close, you just go IMM, hide, soft input from window, and then window token is going to be stock symbol edit text. In this situation, paste that in there. And then you're going to have to go get window token like that. And then you're going to, for flags, just put 0 inside of there. And then you're done with that. Now else, if stock symbol edit text area is not greater than 0, which means they didn't enter anything, well now I'm going to show you how to create a dialog box, or an alert dialog box. To do so, you're going to go alert dialog builder, and I'm just going to call this builder, is equal to new alert dialog builder, and then you're going to go main activity dot this, and now that we have that created, we can come in here and set the alert title, for example. And you saw that before whenever I tried to enter nothing and clicked on enter whenever I was putting a stock inside of there. Set title, of course, is called set title. And to do so, I'm actually going to pull something that I put into my strings.xml file, which is invalid stock symbol, which you can see right there. There it is. Now that I have that set, I can also come in and set the value for a positive reaction from the user. So something that would be considered positive, which is basically going to be true or false or however you want to refer to it. But one thing you could do is use OK, r.string, and then put a period and OK. And there it is. And then finally you can put null inside of here. And there we go. That's the positive reaction. Then if I wanted to also put a message inside of the dialog box, I just go set message and I go whatever it was that I stored in my strings.xml file. Let's see what this is. It's missing stock symbol, which is this guy. So that's the message that's going to show up. And then if I want the alert dialog box to be displayed, I just go alert dialog, the alert dialog is equal to builder.create, like that. And then we're going to go the alert dialog show, and that puts it on the screen. So that's how you create alert dialog boxes inside of Android. Now something else I'm going to want to do before I forget about it is to come in here and show you how to delete all the stocks that are inside of my scroll view. It's extremely easy. Just go private, void, and we're going to call this delete all stocks, like that. And to delete all the stocks, I'm just going to go stock table scroll view, which is the name of my scroll view. And we're going to go remove all views because all of those table rows are set up as views. And there you go. That's all you need to do. That'll delete everything in the scroll view area. Now let's get back to all these other red dashes. So I'm going to have to come up here to this one. And there's another one. Delete stocks button listener. So come way back down here. Now that we have delete all stocks set up, that's going to be a lot easier. Here we're just going to go public on click listener and paste in delete stocks button listener is equal to new on click listener, like that. Don't forget to put semicolon there. And pretty much going to do exactly the same thing on click listener, add on implemented methods, just like that. Very convenient. And then for this guy, to get him to work, all I need to do is call delete all stocks. So get that, paste that inside of there, delete all stocks. There you go. That's how to clear up that scroll view. And then of course, if I delete all the stocks out of the scroll view, I also wanted to clear out all of the information that's in my shared preferences file. And to do that, I'm just going to go shared preferences editor is equal to, and what do I want to delete here? Stock symbols entered dot edit, like that, semicolon. And then to delete everything, I'm just going to go preferences editor, paste that there, and go clear. And then you have to put apply in there as well. And that's set. Okay, so now that delete button works as well. So now what do we got to do? We got to come back up here to these little red dots, figure out what else I forgot. Get stock activity listener, sounds like a good thing to cover. Copy that, come down here, do the same thing again. And then this guy's going to be public It's going to be the same thing. So let's just copy this, OnClickListener. Don't want you to think there's anything different here. Paste that in there, got that. And then we're going to go new. Might as well just copy this as well, OnClickListener, copy, paste that in there, and there we go. Come down here, put a semicolon. Come over here, add on implemented methods. Got it. Delete all that information, or all that added space anyway. Then we have to figure out what we want to do. So if they want to go and get the stock information, which is going to be the parsed XML data, I'm going to set this up right now, even though we're not going to really get into it right now. But what I want to do is I want to get the text that's going to be saved in my text view next to the clicked button. And what that is going to be the stock symbol. Remember, it had the symbol here, and then it had two buttons next to it. I want what's in the text view, which is going to be the stock symbol. So to get that, I'm going to go table row, and I'm going to call this table row is equal to, cast this to table row, and then I'm going to say that I want to get the parent item for that guy, and then I'm going to go text view, stock, text view, cast it to text view, and then inside of this, what I want to do is search for the matching ID, which is going to be the text view that's going to contain the stock symbol that I want to look up. Hopefully that makes sense. Sort of a roundabout way of grabbing the stock symbol, but it's also kind of an interesting sort of thing to know about if you ever need to do that. And it's stock symbol text view. There it is. And then put a semicolon at the end. And now that I have this text view, I can come in and go string, and to get my stock symbol, I'm just going to go stock text view like that, and then go get text, and I can get the stock symbol that is saved inside of that text view area. So it's kind of a neat thing to do. And there we go. And then if I want to start a new activity, I need to create an intent to start a new activity. And I'm going to go main activity, this, and then the class that I want to call is going to be called stock info activity. And like I said, it's a class, and that is the guy that's going to start it up. That is the goal anyway. Of course, put an equal sign in there. And then, of course, import my libraries that I need. Okay, and this guy's going to allow me to open this new activity. It's going to have all this stock information inside of it, which is going to be really cool. Then what I want to do is, if I want to pass over the stock symbol, which of course I do, if I want to figure out what XML file to dig up and then parse. So if you want to pass information to the new activity you're about ready to open, you just go intent, put extra, and this is where stock symbol is going to come up here, and the value I'm going to save that as is going to be this stock symbol, which is the string that I took out of that text view. So that's stock symbol, and that's going to pass that into the new activity that I'm going to be creating. And in the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to create this part, which is going to make everything work. And then after I have all that set up to start a new activity, I just go start activity, and then pass in intent. And there that is. Now the only other thing that I think I got here with a red mark is, or is it? There it is. How are we going to get the browser window to open up whenever we click on it and show news for our stock? Well, here I'm going to go public on click listener. Just repetition from doing this all the time and making you remember most of this stuff. And of course this is new on listener, like that, like that. Got that set up. Then what I want to do, if I want to open up my browser window, add on implemented methods with my stock news information, I'm going to come into the on-click area, and we're going to be using an intent again to do this. Well, basically what I want to do is grab the symbol out of the text view, just like we did before. I could put this in a separate method all by itself, and I probably would do this in real life, but either way, for now, this is going to work. So basically, I'm going to do the same thing again, which if you didn't quite get it, the stock quote row, this right here, is a text view. See, I have this called text view. And these are going to be dynamically populated inside of activity main.xml, all in a row. So what I'm doing here is saying that I want to get a table row, creating that. I want to get a parent for the current view where the click listener was triggered. So this is the table row that is going to contain the web button that was clicked. Here's the web button. This is surrounded by a table row. See, this is the guy that I want. So basically I'm saying is I want to get the parent table row that surrounds the web button that you just clicked. That's what this does right there. Then from that I want to get the text view that's inside of that same table row. And then I want to get the string of text that's inside of the text view and save it as a string. Okay? So if you didn't get it the first time, you probably got it that time. If not, again, leave a message. Then what I'm going to do is, because I want to open up a URL, I'm going to call this stock URL inside of a web browser. I'm going to go get string, and I want to get the web address that I'm going to be pulling this information from. And I have that saved in strings.xml, and it's Yahoo stock URL. So there that is. And then at the end of that, I want to put the stock symbol. And that is how I am going to get that information. Since I haven't really looked at it here that much, let's go over here to strings.xml, double click on that. And where is Yahoo? There it is. See? Yahoo stock URL, and this is the URL that I want to open. And right after this S right here is where my stock symbol is going to go. Okay, so that's what that is. It's pretty cool. So now that I have the URL that I want to open, I just need to create another intention to get the browser to open up the URL that I just created here. I'm going to call it get stock web page, and I'm going to go new, intent, and to trigger the browser to open, you're going to go action view, comma, URI dot parse, and pass in your stock URL. Put a semicolon at the end, and then to start the browser window, just go start activity and pass in get stock web page. So there is 50 million different ways to do a whole bunch of different things. A lot of fun making this tutorial. Of course, all the code's available in a link underneath the video, and the whole entire finished program is also available in a link underneath the video. It's all free, of course. In the next part of the tutorial, I'm going to handle creating the other activity, which is going to parse all the XML data and finish up the whole entire project. Please leave any questions or comments below. Otherwise, till next time.